Welcome. Today I wanted to discuss the current epidemic and what I have read up so far. There is a lot of speculation out there about the potential origins, and I wanted to close in what I have read up on and what looks plausible to me and what I think is far-fetched. The general agreement is that a bat was the carrier of a direct ancestor of the current coronavirus, and that is a bat in Yunnan Province. It was found in Yunnan Province, which had a virus on the genome of which matches the new coronavirus genome in 96% of the sequence. That bat lives a bit far. It's Yunnan is or even the closest corners of Yunnan are about 1,300 kilometers away from Wuhan, where the outbreak started. The general explanation is that there is probably an intermediate host, another bat, another pangolin, or another animal. Could be a bat, a pangolin, or anything else we have not yet discovered. And that intermediate host may have traveled the distance. And meanwhile, the virus may have changed on that intermediary host. However, 96% of the genome is already the closest we have come so far. The second animal that was taken into consideration is the pangolin that I've already mentioned. And this discussion started when the South China Agricultural University claimed that they have found an RNA match, the genome match of 99%. That was discovered to be a mistake. The pangolin only covers, the virus on the pangolin only covers 90.3% of the genome. So a direct jump from that animal to the human being is also nearly impossible, because 10% of the genome would have to change in an evolutionary process in a very short period of time, like in a matter of days, in close contact with that animal. That is very unlikely. So the pangolin does not carry that virus, but the 99% was referring to something else that is quite interesting, and that is the protein that is found on the membrane of the virus, the outer part, the surface of the virus. This spike protein, or S protein, is the key with which the virus attaches to the receptor on the cells to open the cells. If there is a perfect match, it indicates that there is a close relationship. This is a bit too close for my taste. This key attaches to a structure on the surface of your cells in the alveoli of your lungs, called the ACE2 enzyme, or the angiotensin converting enzyme, and it was already the one structure that was attacked by the SARS virus. There was a paper that came out in 2015 from Zhongling Xu and a number of colleagues with the title "A SARS-like cluster of circulating bat coronavirus pose threat for human emergence." And in this paper, they have described how this spike, how this spike protein could be transferred from one virus to the other. They had created a syndicated virus from a horseshoe bat with the SARS coronavirus back then, and this was successful in mice and in vitro, and America, there were a number of other researchers involved. America stopped the research immediately because they saw the danger probably coming up. It's not clear if Dr. Xu continued her research, and it is quite peculiar that this 99% match of the key structure that's highly volatile is is attached to the RNA, or to almost the complete RNA of the bat virus. I mean, potentially everything is possible, and maybe through evolution there's something like convergent evolution. This can happen in wildlife, but it's not very likely, is it? That 99% matches a part of the surface structure of one virus, and almost 100% of 98%, I think, 96% of the virus RNA on the bat. This looks very, very strange, particularly because this virus is now going on for weeks, and everybody is searching for that animal in proximity of Wuhan that could have carried this combination. And I think the possibility that this just came up in wildlife is close to zero, particularly if you know that this institute was working on exactly this thing in the past and has done this successfully. No animal has yet been found that carries the combined information of the RNA and the protein structure. Now, of course, you must know that the spikes of the membrane come from a part of the genome of the RNA inside the virus. So it goes into your body cell, and your ribosomes are actually reading a part of this RNA that the virus includes into your body cell, and it produces those spike enzymes. So you will not have the situation that the spike chromosomes come from a different place, somehow from outside, and the RNA is distinct from it. Part of the RNA produces the spike protein structure. So what they have done is they have taken the RNA from one virus and combined it with the spike protein RNA of the different virus, and then combined it to a chimeric virus. This is something they had done in the past, and it's probably something they have now also done with that current virus. Now there is a lot of cover-up going on. The earliest people talking about it disappeared or died of the disease, or were said to have died of the disease, who knows. Experts were not allowed into Wuhan, and so forth. And this created speculation that the virus may have been created as a biological weapon. That's a weapon of mass destruction. It is condemned all around the world. There's a total agreement in all cultures that this is not what we're going to use in warfare, because it's uncontrollable. For the same reason, chemical weapons are forbidden, because they are, you cannot even target them to an enemy. It's possible that it gets out of control and pollutes other people and environments. And for these reasons, there is an international worldwide consent that these things must not be produced on purpose. And I'm not suggesting that China was producing weapons of mass destruction on purpose here. I want to make the good faith argument here. I think they just tried to figure out how dangerous it could be if one part of an RNA from one virus attaches somehow to a different virus in the wild, and how very dangerous viruses that may come up in future can be contained. What specifics of a disease may lead to a pandemic, and how it can be controlled, how it can be captured, and so forth. I think there were good intentions, or let's just begin with that. What is likely is that pangolin was used as a test animal. The agricultural university, the South China Agricultural University, that had announced the pangolin matching, had obtained that animal from the institute. That's what Simon Gao, a journalist, had said. Have a listen.
On February 7th, South China Agricultural University claimed that they found a coronavirus in some exotic animals that was 99% similar to the SARS-CoV-2. They claimed those animals, pangolins, could be the intermediate host between bats and humans. That is, the virus could have jumped from bats to pangolins and finally to humans. They added the small sample of pangolins was not captured in the wild, but obtained from the institute. Of course, the institution was not named.
What is most likely is that pangolins, for whatever reason, were used as test animals. We can tell that because Simon Gao, a journalist who speaks Chinese, has said the agricultural university in South China has obtained the pangolin that matched so well from the institute. It did not say what institute, but from the institute. And that means it was used for animal testing in one way or another. And this led to the speculation that there might be some people in the laboratory that may have seen this very expensive animals, very, very expensive, rare animals that are supposedly delicious, and could have smuggled that out of the laboratory and sold it on the market. This is the prevailing speculation right now, that somebody could have smuggled a test animal out of the laboratory because it's extremely expensive, and from there a very, very dangerous virus spread around. Of course, we don't know. Now, what speaks against it is that 1/3 of the early admissions for hospital treatment were in no contact with the marketplace to begin with. It's also possible that because the infection is not always severe, that those who had an early infection or had been in contact with the criminal could have carried that around without knowing, and only, after transporting it from one person to another, eventually some people got sick enough to make it into the hospital, and they had no contact with that market or with that criminal. So this is, in my opinion, the most likely scenario. There are articles out there that denounce exactly that explanation, because if China involuntarily produced a weapon of mass destruction, of course, it faces a lot of criticism. And they are Chinese, so you have to kind of consider that they must keep their face. And this is also how we have to approach this crisis. We have to be nice to the communists and try to allow them to keep face. Maybe it was just a minor individual, a low-status individual that was in contact with a pangolin. It was just, a mistake that could have occurred in any country, and it has nothing to do with them trying to produce weapons of mass destruction. This is the good faith argument with which we must start to gain their cooperation. What we must know now from the Chinese government is if they did use pangolin for testing, which is what the South China Agricultural University suggests when they obtained the animal from an institute, and if so, if one went missing. These are the bits of information that are crucial and that must be shared with the wider public all over the world. Thank you for listening, and I see you soon. Bye.